impact. And Dominic, one other thing I want to bring up, and then let's start talking about the draft, is, I talk about the impact. I didn't get an opportunity to talk about Pat Patterson on the post show.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about somebody who had an impact on the business. Pat Patterson, unbelievable mind for the business. I think a lot of people remember him as Vince McMahon's stooge and all the silly shtick, where he's got he's in his underwear and there's like a poop stain, which is hilarious. But first Intercontinental Champion, very significant figure in pro wrestling, always a great worker, and probably most importantly, a brilliant person, a kind-hearted person from all accounts that I've heard. And will be sorely missed, is sorely missed by, I know, all of his peers in professional wrestling.
You just see it too, from levels of colleagues, whether it's JR or anybody that know him, or Bruce Pritchard or anybody, Bischoff. But then you also have stars like Kevin Owens, speaking out about how big of an influence he was, and people just from all generations showing their appreciation for him and knowing, what he's done. And Bret Hart spoke about him too on social media. The Rock, how big of an influence he had on both those guys, in their rise to stardom. Bret Hart was Pat Patterson was in Bret Hart's corner for so much of that stuff. And Pat Patterson went to bat so many times for The Rock. It was seeing The Rock, The Rock's dad, inviting Pat over to assess The Rock's style and where he was as, a greenhorn back in the day. And him being this kid has it, he has it. And then just always being in The Rock's corner. It just speaks to his knowledge of the business, the influence he had in and out of the ring. Nobody talks about, what we get about Pat is what you're saying, what we grew up with, the stooge, and then first, the openly gay wrestler, is what the mainstream media is going. But Pat is way more than that, to the industry. And I think we're feeling the reverberations right now in a positive and, uplifting way, as sad as it is that we lost them too this week.
And, let me just say, I think we'd be remiss not to discuss the fact that, yes, he was an openly gay wrestler during a time when in that profession, it was a very macho, blue collar profession to be in. And so for the incredible bravery it would take for him to be openly homosexual under those circumstances cannot be understated. Absolutely incredible human being. Brave human being, and again, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest mind in the history of the professional wrestling business. And it's I'm sad for everybody who's friends or family with him, and I'm sad for us as wrestling fans, because it's a tremendous loss to our community.
It really is, because it's that was what was fascinating, because Vince McMahon, if you're an ardent fan of the business, you will be critical of Vince and his decision making and what he goes with. But somebody who he could lean on and really respected was Pat Patterson, and just it just speaks levels to his ability to engage with people and have that connection. Where he was an openly homosexual wrestler, but that isn't what defined him. What defined him was his smarts for the business, his sense of humor, and his ability to connect with so many talents and fans.
Absolutely.